What's up, B2? Capital G here. Welcome to another episode of The Excellent Adventures. These are the excellent adventures of the Bug Nation. When this support comes out, I am going to be incredibly happy because this is just a really fun deck that has a lot of big play applications. This normal support for insects as a whole is really good, and what I really like about it most is it just has enough offense to potentially one-shot your opponent, but at the same time you get enough offense on the board to actually defend yourselves by going into those rank 4 exceed plays, ones like number 41 Bagusta. Obviously that can slam the door shut on any effect monster your opponent wants to use. Basically, if they're not using link monsters at that point, they won't be able to do much. It all centers around the new field spell, Giant Ballpark. This allows the insects to basically get 3 vanilla monsters on the field at one time, and then they have other cards like the Goki Pole. This is a card that when it's sent to the graveyard, you can actually add like an insect monster from your deck to your hand, and if it's a vanilla, you get to summon it and you get to pop a card on your opponent's side of the field. I knew the support was going to be good, but I wasn't sure how everything was going to flow and it was going to look in one deck, but you'll see that you can put up a ton of pressure on your opponent. So first duel is against Trickstar Mech Knights, and his opponent opens up pretty good in my opinion with the he has the Light Stage and the Lycoris, also has a couple of defensive cards, Shared Ride, Heavy Storm Duster, and Trickstar Reincarnation. This would be an excellent hand going against maybe something like Goki or even like Sky Strikers, because you have Shared Ride and you can disrupt them. But against this deck, maybe not so much. Now he is going to take some burn damage just because of like Lycoris, and he's just going to go and hard rip that Reincarnation, and he's going to do some burn damage. But as you're going to see, some of these cards are going to activate Giant Rax Howling Insect. He is going to go ahead, he's going to summon that Ranger, and not only is he going to do that, but he's not quite done. He is going to attack. He's going to use Giant Ballpark, and boom, you get 3 monsters on the field. Now even though you can't do battle damage from the first attack, you can certainly do damage from the other attacks. He gets rid of the Giant Ballpark, but the problem is the damage has already been done. Now this was kind of spicy. He's using multiplication of ants so that he can go into the Insector Link monster, and that is cool because he now has a monster that can stay in attack mode. Now he did give his opponent a monster, or excuse me, a search, because he was under Shared Ride that entire time, but I think he's okay. Now I'm not sure if setting the impermanence was even the right play, because he is still under, I guess technically he's kind of under the effect of the like Light Stage, so he could have locked it down, but he doesn't. And you see he tries to do battle damage, but not only does it not take, but he's able to get another monster as well. And you see just stopping your opponent from one turn or for one turn is enough to easily get where you want to go. And he keeps using the freaking Reincarnation, even though he didn't see that it obviously didn't work the first time because of the Goki Pole. He was like, yo, Cap, I'm not gonna stop. I'm gonna Reincarnation this guy until I win or lose with Reincarnation. He basically gets ran over in his second turn, but I love that. I love how this deck will go straight into like 41 if it can OTK to just completely slow the duel down. Second duel is against Double R's, who is he's probably gonna get OTK'd. If all you're gonna do is summon one Raid Raptor and pass, like that's not a good sign. Now since he did open with 2 Rangers, he's converting one into a Link Spider so that he can continue doing battle damage, and he can unload from his hand. You see that again, he got 3 monsters from his hand, and he can just do, or excuse me, from his deck, and he can do so much battle damage. He's going for Mistress Radiant and the Bagusta this time to give his Bagusta a little more defense. And if his opponent does go into one of those really big Raid Raptors, one of the ones that's difficult to kill like Ultimate Falcon, he does have a Kaiju in his hand, so I don't think it's going to be doing all that much damage. And you can see he's saying, oh Cap, did you say something about Ultimate Falcon? I think I will go into Ultimate Falcon. It's immune to number 41. Usually this would be GG no Re, but since he has that Kaiju, it ain't gonna be GG Re anything. He's just able to Kaiju it and keep on playing. I don't know whether he was listening to me or what. He's gonna use the Ballpark again, get 3 monsters out. That is just so unfair, dude. Getting it, I know they're vanillas, they're not supposed to be good, but oh my god, when you can summon 3 of them at once, you do so much damage. And they're Earth attributes, so with Mrs. Radiant, they're kind of OP. We got 2 more duels against, I would say, competitive decks. Trickstar did just get 2nd place at the YCS in London. He's heading off against Altergeist. I don't like Pot of Desires in the deck. I think it's trash, but some people still use it for some reason. I think maybe, now this was a judgment call. I get he doesn't want to set, like, he has so many spells and traps, you don't want to set everything on the field. He could have ashed a pot of, or he could have ashed the terraforming. He also could have set shared ride. The reason you don't want to set everything is you get evenly matched, you just lose the duel. But maybe he could have set like shared ride and, you know, got a card. But I think that it was a little better here because you don't want to give your opponent the potential of getting a field spell that's more dangerous than, you know, the terraforming that was activated that you could have stopped with Ash Blossom or a copy of, you know, Imperial Order. So I don't know if you guys saw that, but what he did was he flipped over Impermanence, and not only was he able to negate the effect of Mary, but then he's able to get rid of the Imperial Order, or at least turn it off temporarily. That allows him to activate the Giant Ballpark. And here's one thing that you have to note about this, because I'm pretty sure people will wonder, the effect of Giant Ballpark activates in the damage step. These monsters, these Insect Knights, are being summoned in the damage step, so he's not going to be able to Ash Blossom that. People will have Ash Blossom and they'll be expecting to be able to stop that effect, like, oh, Ash Blossom, you're not going to be able to summon 3. No, that activates in the damage step. You cannot use Ash Blossom in the damage step, and once again, this player is just getting knocked out. Like, these players are falling because they're not used to seeing this many monsters being summoned. Last duel is against Trickstar. And you can see his opening hand is, I call this kind of Kappa. I don't think it looks very good, but the Trickstar player might help him with that reincarnation. And honestly, I think this Trickstar turn 1 is amazing. I mean, you have not only double Lycoris on board, but you have 3 pieces of disruption, and you have light stage for even more burn damage. He has Trickstar reincarnation set, which is over here. Whoopsie. He has Ring of Destruction, and he has Ash Blossom. These are 3 destructive cards, and he has spot removal, so he can stop an attack, as well as, you know, a card like Ash Blossom that can just negate something, and he has reincarnation. It means that at minimum he's going to probably do a mess of burn damage since he has double Lycoris on the field. Usually what you want to do when you're playing the bug deck is activate your ballpark first to make sure that that doesn't get negated, or that doesn't get basically disrupted, and he is going to get it even though he drew 2 more copies, so it looks like he was perfectly fine no matter what. He's going to summon Insect Knight, and this is one of the things that I did not talk about with this card. It's going to be destroyed, but one of the other effects of Giant Ballpark is it says if a monster you control is sent to the graveyard by an opponent's card effect, except during the damage step, you can special summon 1 insect normal monster from your graveyard. The cool thing is it can be the same monster that was just destroyed, so even though he's going to be able to kill the Insect Knight, it don't even matter. Get your beta, bro. It's coming right back. Now he can activate the second effect, do no battle damage there, and he can get 3 monsters on board, and Trickstars once again are not ready for that. Now the Trickstar player, he did a bunch of burn damage with those with the reincarnation and with the Ring of Destruction, but even though he's going to get Ash here, he has too many monsters on board. If he goes into 41 right now, knowing your opponent's only monster in hand is Candina, what exactly are they going to do? Like, Candina can't do anything against a number 41. You'd basically force your opponent into using the reincarnation in his graveyard and trying to go into like a hard link play to try and counter it. That's what I like about 41, is you kind of make your opponent go into like these really awkward plays. He loses his copy of Stormy Mirror Force, but all he has to do is just rank up into Utopia the Lightning, and he knows that it's pretty much a wrap. Now, I thought maybe he would go for Topologic Trishbenia, but it really wouldn't have mattered. The result would have been the same. He would have been able to get to the Utopia the Lightning, and that pretty much just would have been a wrap from there. Let me pause for 1 second and show you guys the deck list, even though you did see duels from multiple pilots. I'm going to show you guys the first, well, no, I'll just show you guys the second deck list because I think it might be a little more consistent. Alright, so here's what the first deck looks like, and screw it, I'm just going to show you guys both deck lists. It shouldn't really take that long. As you can see, this one is much more normal monster focus. In fact, Gokipo is the only main deck monster in here that is not a normal monster. I think the Mech Knight Avram can kind of make sense. It's a 2000 vanilla beater, and I say that it makes sense over, I know there's an 1800 vanilla insect monster, but you can see that he's running the Phantasm Spiral, or he's running a bunch of those cards, and he's also using Pacific. This means he can search these when he does summon, and he doesn't really have to rely on his opponent. This also gives him the option of summoning Phantasm Spiral Dragon straight from his deck and being able to do a whole bunch of like big pushes. I guess that's why he's running a lot of these like random equip cards, and I personally believe that there are way too many dead cards in this build. I think Replenishment Squad is just not a card that you really want to run. Kind of a card that, you know, is better for like grinding, because the most you're going to get out of this is like 1 card in a turn, why not run something that is a little more proactive? I think that Pot of Indulgence can work perfectly in this deck because he doesn't, I mean, like, you don't really run that many extra deck monsters. A lot of them are just or multiple copies of the same card, so it doesn't really matter unless you like really need that Exciton Knight. But what are the chances of that? Because everything else other than a couple of your Utopia pieces, which you could cut down on, like Gem Knight Pearl, to run more Utopia pieces to make sure you can obviously rank up into like your Utopia the Lightning. But the extra deck in here is really not that important other than like Bagusta. When you look at the second version of the deck, it's a little more kind of over the place, but he is running, again, still a lot of the vanilla insect monsters. I mean, you do have to run these because of the ballpark. Like, that's how you get all of them on the field at the same time. He's also running some Thunder Dragons. He's maxing out on Gokipol, which I think is a pretty good card. Kaiju's in here to be able to go second and break up those boards, getting rid of those big monsters. I kind of understand if you're going to run a small Thunder Dragon engine with Gold Sarcophagus. Like, it does kind of make sense to run Giant Rex just as another level 4. Also, alongside Giant Rex, you have another good target for your Gold Sarcophagus and Renaissance Insect. If this guy is banished, as you guys saw with Trickstar Reincarnation, it allows you to send any insect monster from your deck to your graveyard, and you can use that to set up your Gokipol plays. When this guy is sent to the graveyard, you can add a level 4 insect from your deck to your hand. If it's a vanilla monster, you can special summon it, which would be any of these guys, and then you get to pop a card, or you get to pop a monster on your opponent's side of the field. It's obviously a pretty solid play, and overall, I think that this card's pretty good. It works really well with not just, or it works pretty well with Twin Twister as well as the Renaissance Insect, because you can discard it for Twin Twister, pop a couple of your opponent's back row, and then at the same time you can still activate that effect. You can search out one of your vanilla dudes, summon it, and then pop a card. And it can be used with multiplication of ants. It's another way of getting it to the graveyard. And then the multiplication of ants gives you a couple of tokens. Can't use these for a tribute summon, but you know, obviously tokens and Master Rule 4, being able to use these for link summoning is obviously pretty good. So just some interesting little bug decks for you guys to mess around with. Thank you guys for watching. As always, subscribe if you have not already. Turn on that notification bell for daily videos, and check out these other videos I know you'll enjoy.